Hey guys, Brandon with JazzPokeCenter.com, and I got some bad news. I will not be getting the Delta Rain Japanese set for this weekend show. The numbers finally came out from my Japanese distributor. I could pay $184 a box, minimum 14 boxes to have it shipped out by Friday, or I could pay $179 per box for 14 boxes to have it shipped out by Monday. Since neither one of those would get me the boxes by Saturday, I decided I'm not going to sit there and throw the money at. They're really expensive right now. Hoping they come down. It's definitely the hottest set since Mega Braid. No, not Mega Braid. Mega Dream has come out in Japanese, at least. The cards look beautiful. I did look them up on PokeBeach.com. And I think the set's going to be fire. I do think it's a little high. I think it will come down. So I will definitely place an order next week, most likely, for the show I have 2 weeks from now. That'd be a big 2-day show. So, good news to that. I'm going to have some money for this weekend and be buying some stuff. I've been making them videos talking about how I don't have enough money to buy everything I want to buy. Well, now this gives me a few grand to go buy some things this weekend. So, pretty ecstatic about that. Hoping I can find some good deals. Hoping I can find the broke-ass Timmys that need to pay that credit card payment. I'm hoping I can capitalize on this a little bit. And then on top of that, I'm also hoping to have a good show, so I will have the money to buy Delta Rain, the Japanese set. And then a buddy of mine, Tommy, he's going to start vending, so that's cool. A lot of people will probably say he's picked a bad time to start vending because everything's down. I personally think he's picked a great time to start vending because everything's down. The last few shows, the last more than a few, this whole year, my sales have been like that, and every show they just keep stacking. My sales have been awesome. This weekend, there's a really good chance where everybody's talking, my sales might be down here. Well, I'm used to it up here, right? So I feel like it's going to hurt me more where Tommy, he hasn't vended before. He used to do Whatnot. He has pretty good inventory. He'll be mainly singles. But if his sales are down here, that's going to be a win for him because he's not used to the sales being up here. Where I'm kind of, hey, I need this money to buy more stuff. He's, oh shit, I did, X amount of dollars. That's great. And I mean, that's how I started off with too. I was doing 1,200 a show, and I was like, oh yeah, I was static, man. And now I'll have me some 8,500 weekends now, and that's great. But that's how me growing. So if I only do like 1,200 this weekend, I'm gonna be really upset. But I'm hoping to buy a lot, But I also need to make sure I keep enough money to buy the Japanese box because it is going to do that. So welcome, Tom. Hope you do well. And then let's see. That's really all I got. I mean, it's a short video. What, 3.5 minutes? I gotta be able to come up with something else. Hang on 1 second. Boop. Okay, we're back. I got it. Let's talk about buyer expectations at card shows. Okay, say you're a buyer, you're going to a show, and this is mainly for the new buyer. Like I've been seeing on Facebook. I haven't been seeing, but I saw a post on Facebook. Somebody was going to their first card show this weekend, and how to look out, how to stay away from greedy vendors. So you need to have your expectation. What I told them was stay with vendors that have everything priced. I personally have everything priced at my table. I think it's real kind of slimy, kind of, not that cool. If when somebody asks you how much you got on that, you pull out your phone with the last sold, or well, it's just kind of slimy. Because I mean, you gonna give me a price different than the person before me, and you're not gonna go below. You ain't gonna go say one just sold for 200, and they've been selling for 250, you know you're not going to say, oh, the last one sold 200. You're going to say, well, they've been selling constantly at 250. I ain't going to take that 200. But if it was been selling 200 and one sold at 250, oh, well, the last one sold at, that's just kind of cheesy, kind of slimy. So I would stick with vendors that have everything priced. Also, sometimes, and I have done this, vendors will misprice their things and or have the wrong price. And if that vendor does not honor their sticker, I would walk away and probably never do business with them again. I have lost money. I have not made as much money as I could have by the prices changing. Darren showed some weekends went back when it was real crazy, and also just where I just mispriced. I thought it was a different car. Maybe I just didn't change the price on my price gun. I don't know, but I've always honored my sticker price. I feel like you gotta be a real POS to not honor your sticker prices. So if the vendor doesn't have everything priced, and if they do, and they don't want to honor their sticker price because one just sold for $50 more, that's pretty slimy. I would stay away from them type of vendors. I did have but get back to your expectations, and it is really important for y'all to know what your cars are worth. Now, I would say 90% of the vendors out there are going to be upfront. They're going to be honest with you. They're going to tell you what you got and what it's worth. But you will run into a vendor at some point who is going to tell you that card is worth $80 and it's a $300 card. And if you don't know, you don't know. They'll tell you, oh, this is moderately played or heavy played. And it might only be light played. You don't know. But on the same flip side of that, you have to have reasonable expectations. Don't come to me that I got my cars marked at near mint, and because it has two white specks on a corner that you're trying to get it for light play. A lot of people do not understand that near mint does not mean PSA 10. Near mint is literally a card that grades a PSA 7. PSA on the PSA 7 says NM for near mint. Okay, a card with two little white specks in the corner, it's going to grade at least a 7, if not a 9. So don't. I know YouTube's got this whole fad about PSA 10s and near mint cards or perfect cards and everything. Oh, and another one that somebody said in the comments was if the vendor doesn't give you a near mint value of a card that you have near mint, but they don't give it to you because it's off centered, that's a piece of shit move too. I wouldn't work with them. I tell people straight up front, I don't care about the centering. Now, if it's something like outrageous, well, then that's almost leaning at the miscut, right? I don't deal with errors like that. I don't think they're worth the extra money that some people pay for them. I think it's too niche. So I'll tell them, yeah, it's near mint, but it's too off center for me. And this is like the bad off centers. If it's like 60, 40, 35, 65, I'm not worried with it. I'm probably still going to buy it. Or give you near mint if it's a near mint card. So I would definitely stay away from vendors who try to do the off centering game. If you have vendors that have stuff priced for PSA 10 value and it's a raw card because they can guarantee it's going to be a PSA 10, probably walk away from them too. Yeah. So you as the buyer, and it sounds rough, but you have the responsibility to know what you have and how the game works. You can and get a feel like your gut. I feel like your gut will tell you a lot. If you're talking to a vendor, you just ain't got a good gut feeling. He's probably a POS. I probably wouldn't deal with him. You know what I'm saying? Go talk to a vendor. I mean, you come to me and you talk about Pokemon cards. As long as like my table isn't like slammed with people, I will talk to you all day about Pokemon. Love talking about Pokemon. I'll tell you about my favorite. I'll tell you all the stories. I'll tell you about my personal collection. Tell you why I love this. I'll tell you something that happened in a game when I was playing. I'll tell you everything. Love to hear people's experience with Pokemon. If you go to a vendor and they don't really care and like, yeah, whatever, suppose or yeah. I mean, do you really want to support that? He's probably a sneakerhead that's in it for the money right now, and he's probably gonna be fire selling this weekend. But so just fill it out. Most Pokemon vendors should be able to pass a Pokemon test if they're passionate about it. And I'm not talking about Pokemon card tests, like how much is this card worth or where's this card set from. I'm talking about the actual Pokemon. You know, like what type is Alolan Raichu? Like stuff like that. I'm pretty sure I could pass most of them tests too, unless it's something like absurd. But like all these new posts you've seen recently of the hey, is this an error? Or, I can't believe Pokemon let this go, and it's type null, and people and like if a vendor thinks that is a typo, or if they did, that get out of here, get out of here. You're not a Pokemon fan if you don't know type null is the actual Pokemon, and it ain't like it's the first card ever. Like this, he's had multiple cards, so. But yeah, that's all I got. If you're a buyer, please do your homework on your cards, at least a general idea. Um, I wouldn't always stick with collector and like I think there's one called Rainbow or something. I'll collector seems to be a little behind. I will stick with TCG player, and eBay most recent sales. Those are going to be two most accurate. Those are what I stick with. And yeah, I hope to see y'all this weekend. Bye.